What if everything you learned about religion was built on the wrong definition? Every religion has a founder, a starting point, a single book, rules you either follow or you don't. Hinduism has none of that. No founder, no fixed scripture, no single god, no year it began. And yet over 1 billion people live by it every single day. So either Hinduism is broken, or our definition of religion is. Today we find out which. Here's something that will quietly rearrange your brain. The people who practice Hinduism don't actually call it Hinduism. They call it Sanātana Dharma, the eternal tradition, not the eternal religion, not the eternal faith, the eternal way of doing things. That one word, Dharma instead of religion, is the entire key to understanding everything that follows. And here's where it gets stranger: the word Hindu wasn't even invented by Hindus. The ancient Sanskrit name for the Indus River was Sindhu. The Persians, sitting just across that river, had a habit. Every S became an H, so Sindhu became Hindu. The people living across the river became Hindus. The Persians told the Greeks. The Greeks, being very Greek about it, dropped the H, added their signature Aya to the end, and suddenly you have India. An entire civilization named by a geographic mispronunciation. And this civilization gave birth to the oldest active belief system on Earth. So old that ancient Greece looks like a startup by comparison. How old exactly? Historians argue. And in Hinduism, arguing about dates is practically a sacred tradition, but conservative estimates place it at over 4,000 years. Some scholars push it far, far earlier. Here's the thing about Hinduism that confuses everyone at first. Some Hindus pray 5 times a day, others don't believe in any gods at all and are still considered Hindu. So how is this one thing? Because underneath all that diversity, there are 7 core beliefs running like a spine through all of it. Let's go through them. 1. Brahman. Hindus believe in a single universal soul, not a god with a personality and a throne, something far stranger. Brahman is formless, genderless, and is not separate from the universe. It is the universe, the material of everything, the reason anything exists at all. Picture an ocean. Every person, every rock, every star is a single drop that erupted out of that ocean, separate for a while, but made of the same thing, and eventually returning to the same thing. That is Brahman. 2. Atman. While Brahman is the universal soul, Atman is your individual soul, and here is the concept that changes everything about how Hindus see death. Your Atman is immortal. When your body dies, your soul does not. It moves into a new body, a new life. This is called transmigration, but which life you move into depends entirely on the next belief. 3. Karma. Not karma the vague cosmic justice people talk about online. Karma in its original form means action. Specifically, morally weighted action. Every choice you make, kind or cruel, honest or deceptive, has weight. That weight accumulates, it shapes the soul, and it determines what the soul experiences next. Karma is not punishment, it is more like gravity. Invisible, consistent, and completely indifferent to excuses. 4. Moksha. If karma is the mechanism, moksha is the exit. The cycle of death and rebirth called samsara is not the goal, it is the condition. The goal is to escape it entirely. To have your individual soul, your drop, dissolve back into the ocean of Brahman. That liberation is moksha, and achieving it is the entire point of Hindu life. This is why Hindus pray, lead me from the unreal to the real. 5. The Vedas. Unlike most major religions, Hinduism does not have one book. It has a vast, sprawling library of sacred texts. At the foundation are the 4 Vedas, ancient books of knowledge believed to have been divinely revealed to Hindu sages, not written by them, revealed to them, heard, then recorded. We will look at what is actually inside them in a moment, and one of them is not what you expect. 6. Cyclical time. This one quietly breaks the Western mind. In the Hindu conception of time, there is no beginning and no end. Time moves in massive cycles. Each cycle contains 4 ages called yugas, totaling roughly 4.32 million years. Each age is a decline from the previous one. Morality weakens, chaos increases, until finally, at the end of the 4th age, reality itself is destroyed and the cycle begins again. Here is the part that should unsettle you. Hindus believe we are currently in the 4th age, the final one, the Kali Yuga. 7. Dharma. And this brings us back to the word we started with. Dharma is the hardest Hindu concept to translate into English. Proper behavior comes close but misses the depth. Dharma is the specific, personal code of conduct that maintains balance in the universe. Every being has one. A river's dharma is to flow, a lion's dharma is to hunt, a king's dharma is to rule justly. Your dharma depends on who you are, what stage of life you are in, and what role you occupy. Living by it keeps the universe in balance. Breaking from it tips the scales toward chaos. This is the spine that holds all of Hinduism upright. Now the books. Most religions have a holy book you can hold in one hand. Hinduism has a library you could not read in a lifetime. The four Vedas are the oldest and most sacred. The Rig Veda is a collection of songs praising the gods, with philosophical explorations of truth, reality, and the nature of the universe. The Yajur Veda is the operational manual, sacrificial rites, ceremonial procedures, the mechanics of worship. The Sama Veda literally means the sweet song that destroys sorrow, almost entirely musical, sacred verses set to melody, the emotional heart of the four. And then there is the Atharva Veda. This one is different. The Atharva Veda contains charms to win love, spells to curse enemies, invocations for rain, instructions for herbal medicine, techniques for warfare including specifically how to make poison arrows, and an entire section of counter curses for when someone tries to curse you back. A 4,000-year-old sacred text contains a curse against people who curse you. Let that exist in your mind for a moment. Beyond the Vedas come the Upanishads, philosophical dialogues written around 800 to 500 BC, during a period when Hindu thinkers started asking harder questions. Not just what to do but why, not just who are the gods but what is reality. Their central theme: you are not your body, not your mind, not your ego, you are your Atman, everything else is temporary noise. Then come the texts most people have actually heard of. The Puranas, encyclopedic collections covering yoga, governance, taxation, cosmology, and theology. The Ramayana, the story of Prince Rama, his exile, the abduction of his wife Sita, a 10-headed demon king, and a monkey general named Hanuman who deserves his own series. And the Mahabharata. The longest poem in human history, 5 times the length of the Bible, 8 times the combined length of the Iliad and the Odyssey, containing more betrayal, warfare, philosophical debate, and complicated love than anything written before or since. Embedded inside the Mahabharata is the Bhagavad Gita, and the Gita deserves its own moment. The scene: a battlefield, 2 armies facing each other, and the greatest warrior on one side, a man named Arjuna, refuses to fight. Not out of cowardice, out of grief, because on the other side he sees his cousins, his teachers, his family, and he cannot bring himself to give the order. Into this moment steps Lord Krishna, one of Vishnu's avatars, who proceeds to deliver one of the most profound philosophical conversations in human history. Right there, on a battlefield, before the fighting starts. Krishna does not just tell Arjuna to toughen up. He dismantles Arjuna's assumptions about life, death, duty, and the soul. He explains that the Atman cannot be killed, so killing in battle is not murder. He explains that Arjuna's dharma as a warrior is to fight against injustice, and refusing that duty is itself a violation of dharma. He explains that the right action is not the comfortable action. It is the correct action according to your role in the universe. Arjuna picks up his bow. The lesson of the Gita is not about war, it is about this: everyone faces impossible choices. The path through them is not avoidance, it is dharma. Do what you are supposed to do clearly without attachment to the outcome. You have a right to perform your actions, but never to the fruits of those actions. That single idea has influenced everyone from Gandhi to Oppenheimer. Now the gods. Here is the question that breaks every first conversation about Hinduism: how many gods are there? The traditional answer is 330 million. But that answer is actually a misunderstanding, because underneath all those gods, Hinduism is at its philosophical core monistic. There is one ultimate reality, Brahman. The gods are not separate powers competing for territory, they are faces of that same one reality, each representing a different aspect of existence. Think of it less like a boardroom of competing gods and more like a prism. One light, infinite refractions. Brahma is the creator. He built the universe out of Brahman's potential, 4 heads, each facing a cardinal direction representing the 4 Vedas he created and the 4 yugas of time. He carries a book representing knowledge. He rides a giant swan because apparently that is the appropriate vehicle for the architect of all existence. Vishnu is the preserver. His job is to maintain the universe Brahma built and keep Dharma intact. He carries a discus used to cut down anything threatening cosmic balance and a conch shell representing the 5 elements. He has multiple avatars who descend to Earth when things go wrong. Shiva is the destroyer, and here is where Western audiences usually flinch. A god whose purpose is destruction sounds dark, but in the Hindu framework, destruction is not evil, it is necessary. Without destruction, the old cycle cannot end. The new one cannot begin. Shiva destroys so that Brahma can create again. He has a third eye almost permanently closed. If it opens and you are in front of it, the encounter ends badly for you. He rides a bull named Nandi. His sons are Ganesha, the elephant-headed remover of obstacles, and Murugan, the god of war. And now Ganesha, the elephant guy. Ganesha was originally born with a human head. His father Shiva, in a moment of divine miscommunication, cut it off. To fix this, a replacement was found. An elephant head was attached, and somehow this became one of the most beloved, most worshipped figures in all of Hinduism. Remover of obstacles, patron of beginnings, the god you pray to before starting anything important. The word avatar, which you now use to describe your profile picture, originally meant something very specific: descent. When Dharma tilts dangerously toward chaos, when evil gains enough ground that the universe itself is threatened, a god descends into the physical world to intervene. That descent is an avatar. Vishnu has 10 primary avatars. One descended as a boar to literally drag the earth back out from beneath the ocean. Another descended as Rama, another as Krishna. The universe has a self-correcting mechanism built in. When things go wrong enough, the divine shows up personally to fix it. Now we arrive at the part of Hinduism that makes people uncomfortable, and it should. The caste system. In its original conception as laid out in the Bhagavad Gita, the caste system was a framework for social organization based on ability and function, not birth. 4 categories: Brahmins, the priests and scholars; Kshatriyas, the warriors and rulers; Vaisyas, the merchants and traders; Sudras, the laborers and artisans. The Gita is explicit. These categories exist to organize qualities and functions, not to rank human worth. But then came the laws of Manu, written around the 5th century BC. 2 rules changed everything. First, Brahmins are lords above all other castes. Second, you cannot move between castes. The one you are born into is the one you die in. Give humans a rigid hierarchy and they will exploit it, which they did. Certain occupations became labeled impure. The people doing them became untouchables, outside the caste system entirely. Below it, a group with no category because no category wanted them. This is the gap between what a philosophical system intends and what humans do with it when power gets involved. The modern story is more complex. Legally, caste discrimination has been banned in India since 1950. In cities, in workplaces, in schools, it has receded significantly. It persists most visibly in marriage, but even this is shifting. Slowly. So, is Hinduism a religion? It has gods, thousands of them. It has sacred texts, hundreds of them. It has rituals, temples, festivals, and over 1 billion practitioners. But it has no founder. No single moment of origin, no central authority deciding who is in and who is out, no requirement to believe any specific thing to be considered Hindu. What it has is Dharma, a way of living in accordance with the nature of the universe, a set of ideas about the soul, about time, about reality that are old enough to have preceded almost every institution humans have ever built. Maybe that is why it survived while empires around it collapsed. Maybe religion was always too small a word for it. The Hindus knew that from the beginning. They just called it the eternal tradition. And kept going.